question, this particular bit of information is so far removed from anything that anybody thinks is possible. We hold the equation for pi and the number in such high esteem, in the sense that we acknowledge that pi is very important, and we're making a lot of assumptions that there's no difference between base 10 and base 12. There's no other way to approach it. And so it's just not a question that anybody's thinking about. Nobody's working on a better way of approaching pi. It's basically a done deal. We all learn about it in elementary school. So even regular folks who don't spend any time thinking about math, when I mention about pi, they're like, oh yeah, that's the number, it kind of goes on forever, and you know, it's got something to do with the circle. And that's how most people think about pi. You know, a little bit of thinking, oh yeah, you were dividing the diameter into the circumference, and it's really the qualities that it goes on forever, and that there's no patterns that really stick with us. But most of us don't use pi in our daily lives. And within the math community, it's, again, something you learn at such an early stage. It's so foundational and so basic, really, that on the one hand, we just don't think to question something like that. And on the other hand, the equations that are used to get the number for pi are very tricky and in depth, and involve a lot of like doing calculations and then putting the number back in and redoing the calculations, and they're very complex and actually have been used to test the speed of computers and the strength of computers' computing power. So it has this aura of a really difficult number to understand or to get, like lots of digits. And so there's a whole lot of things about pi that have made it something that the average person, or even the average mathematician, as you sort of grow up into math, coming up from elementary school, high school, by the time you're in university and college and you're an established math professor, and I don't want to speak for anybody out there who's done that, but let's ask the question, is anybody working on pi, the geometry of the circle? It's basically assumed a done deal. So no, I don't have a degree, but I've got to a point where I know that this is a geometrically logical diagram. You can see all those circles there. We're dividing the diameter of a circle into its circumference, or we're dividing the circumference into 360 equal sections, and then that diagram can just keep going. And it was a surprise to me and to most people that there is no diagram like this. We talk about 360 degrees all the time, but when you get into the really specifics of how do you actually do it, there's no diagram. And when we get that little protractor in our geometry kit, we think there's a process, and there is a